We are live in 3, 2, 1.
A dangerous drive for commuters. Hundreds of crashes on Utah roads after the state is hit by one of the biggest storms in decades.
Whether talking or texting, holding a phone while driving may be one step closer to being illegal.
A little bit, but when you combine with all these other women, it makes a big impact.
100 Utah County women who care make a difference in their community. Welcome to Newsline. It's February 7th, 2019. I'm Maren Klein.
And I'm Amy Hamilton. Utah crash totals have hit 410 and may still climb as more snow heads our way.
Just 2 days ago, the crash totals were less than 97 statewide. The winter storm shot up the numbers as winter conditions worsened. One of the crashes that happened early this morning was an 11-car pileup. The pileup closed parts of I-15, and the freeway is expected to reopen in about 30 minutes. The Utah Highway Patrol cautions drivers about driving in the snow. They shared a website, utahwinterdriving.org, where drivers can learn to handle winter conditions.
After getting their first snow day in nearly 2 decades, Salt Lake Valley schools are back in session today. Snowy weather forced 5 major school districts in the Salt Lake Valley to close, giving thousands of students a snow day. Schools in Utah County remained open on Wednesday despite the traffic problems it caused. This morning, Provo School District tweeted their bus routes will be altered due to the poor road conditions. The district encouraged parents to send students to school late to allow for the snow to be removed from the roads. The Alpine School District is getting a lot of heat from parents for not canceling school yesterday. Many Utah schools closed due to the bad weather and road conditions, but Alpine School District did not cancel school. The spokeswoman for the district says they can't make everyone happy. Had the schools not been open, many students would have been left home alone and others would have not received breakfast or lunch. The district says they will review their decision and feedback to determine if school closures should happen in the future.
The bill expanding Medicaid passes the House committee in a 9-6 vote in favor of the expansion. The Republicans voted against the bill, including bill sponsor Jim Dunnigan from Taylorsville. Dunnigan did not comment on his reasons for voting against the bill he co-sponsored. This bill replaces the original plan for Proposition 3 that passed with a majority vote in November. The bill now moves to the House floor for debate. The House could still make some changes to the bill before the vote. A bill banning the use of handheld cell phones while driving is one step closer to becoming law.
I'm busy during the day, so while I'm out running errands, I call friends and family to see how they're doing.
House Bill 13 allows any wireless device to be used while driving if it can take voice commands. The bill allows wireless devices to be mounted anywhere in the car that does not distract the driver. The bill prohibits drivers from holding cell phones. The devices can be in the hand to turn on the voice command function.
BYU students say they're the target of fraud jobs, and the university is warning students to be aware.
Newsline reporter Natalia Pennington has a story.
Getting a job after graduation can be hard, but students may have to look harder in order to avoid fraudulent jobs that are targeting BYU students. Officers say it can be a company or an individual that offers to pay the students ahead of time, getting their personal information, but the payment never comes through.
They were questions asking for personal information, so like social security number, those kinds of personal information that no recruiter should ask you.
Career advisors at BYU say seniors are usually targeted by using the same form letter that big companies like Walmart and Amazon would use. They say the fake companies often pretend to be startup companies.
And they were reaching out to students saying, I saw your LinkedIn profile, you look like you'd be a perfect candidate. So it wasn't something where the student had actually reached out to a company and then gotten a response, and it was an inappropriate response.
And many of the letters are very basic with simple formatting. Reed Gravy, who helps students get started with jobs, says he is also concerned for international students.
The part I'm concerned about would be the international students. Those who need a visa to stay and to work need to be sponsored. And so there are occasions when a company will say, oh yeah, you're totally qualified.
Regardless of who gets these letters, advisors strongly recommend any job candidate to meet with potential employers before accepting any job.
BYU police advise to never give out personal information or take a check from someone you don't trust. They also recommend not applying for jobs that are unexpectedly emailed. If you get any flyers or emails, contact BYU police.
Ogden police are searching for their lead suspect in a homicide on Saturday. 28-year-old DJ Parkinson was found at 9:50 p.m. on Monroe Boulevard and 2200. He had multiple injuries to his torso and was taken to the hospital where he died shortly after. Police have declared it a homicide and released their lead suspect as 18-year-old Xavier Soto. Currently, Xavier Soto's location is unknown. If you know of any information about the homicide or the location of Xavier Soto, the Ogden Police ask that you call them at 801-629-8029.
The Davis County Sheriff's Office is looking for 2 men of interest in a theft case. The 2 males have been seen on surveillance cameras at multiple locations, including ATMs, credit unions, and banks around Davis County. Officials found a skimming device on one ATM machine, and numerous people have been victimized, and some may not know that they're victims yet. The Sheriff's Office says thousands of dollars have been stolen. If you have any information, please call the Davis County Sheriff's Office.
Though their ranks may be small, their hearts are large. Utah County's chapter of 100 Women Who Care is set to make a big difference for one local charity. The premise of the group is simple. Women in the community meet for 1 hour, each of them committed to donate $100 to a cause selected by the group. The result, thousands of dollars raised for charity.
This particular model was geared towards making a significant impact in a short amount of time on a regular basis, with giving a small, reasonable amount of money, but that together it actually can come to be quite a big amount of money.
To find out more about the organization or to get involved, check out their Facebook group 100 Women Who Care Utah Valley or their website 100womenutahvalley.com.
There's a $5,000 reward for any leads to the person or persons involved with a fire at a church in St. George. On January 26th, fire crews responded to a fire at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Meeting House. Now, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives is offering a reward for any information leading to the arrest and conviction of those involved in this fire. If you have any information to report, call the number on the screen.
A Utah man and his son are recovering today after being rescued from sub-zero temperatures in Montana. The man and his 12-year-old son went on a hiking trip to Montana and got separated and lost when the weather conditions began to worsen. The Gallatin County Search and Rescue found their car abandoned 5 miles from the highway. Rescuers found the boy wandering between the main road and a cabin. The father was found a few miles south of the cabin. Both of them were suffering from hypothermia. They were flown to the University of Utah Burn Center for frostbite.
The Bean Museum is offering visitors a chance to get up close and personal with the animals at the museum.
There are lots of different species of tarantula.
The Bean Museum shows different animals and teaches different subjects on nature every weeknight at 7:30. Students, families, and youth groups get the opportunity to interact with snakes, salamanders, and spiders while learning about the different ecosystems in Utah.
So each show we do 3 live animals, and then we kind of just pick them depending on the topic of what we're teaching. So with ecosystems, we try to do an animal from the forest, from the desert, and from wetland.
The museum hopes to educate the public on their surroundings and provide them with opportunities to interact with wildlife through these free shows.
Hundreds of Venezuelans are unable to receive critical humanitarian aid. Find out why those in need are not able to get the supplies they are lacking.
5 buildings go up in flames after a gas explosion in San Francisco. We'll tell you what caused the massive blaze and who's to blame for the destruction.
An inmate's escape attempt comes to a surprising end. We'll show you how his break for freedom was foiled.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana.
How does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Humanitarian aid sent to one of the world's poorest countries is not getting inside. The Venezuelan military blocked a key border crossing in an attempt to reject humanitarian aid from Colombia. President Nicolas Maduro sent the National Guard to blockade a bridge between Venezuela and Colombia. Maduro defends the blockade by claiming, quote, "We are not beggars." President Trump wrapped up the National Prayer Breakfast hours ago.
Let us pray for the courage to pursue justice and the wisdom to forge peace.
The National Prayer Breakfast takes place every year, usually on the second Thursday of February. President Trump promised to never let the members of his cabinet and Congress down. During his remarks, he also condemned abortion and thanked leaders for their support.
The San Francisco Department of Energy is opening shelters after a massive gas explosion destroyed 5 residential buildings. A third-party contractor was laying down a fiber optic line on a Verizon permit that hit a Pacific Gas and Electric line. When that gas line blew, it sent off a wall of flames into the air. Workers, neighbors, and patients ran for their lives. The fire burned 5 buildings with commercial and residential space. An inmate's escape attempt comes to a painful, humiliating end when he falls through the jailhouse ceiling. 28-year-old Blaze Ayers tried to make a run from Jackson County Jail in Indiana. Then he got stuck, fell through the ceiling, got tangled in the wires, and then was tased. He was in jail for failure to appear in court for a battery charge. Ayers is now charged with escape and criminal mischief.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers hope for change on the border.
Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
Coming up, we'll tell you why their efforts for compromise might be in danger.
It's the clap heard round the internet. We'll show you the reaction of Nancy Pelosi's condescending applause during the State of the Union.
The winter storm is making its way out of Utah. I'll tell you how the weather will look like right where you are. Coming up.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be earthquake. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers met with border protection officials Wednesday. The main message, the best way to strengthen the border is a combination of barriers, technology, and personnel.
As the debate over security rolls on, the clock is ticking toward another partial government shutdown. John Lawrence reports.
President Trump not backing down on his demand.
Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
During Tuesday's State of the Union address, he called on Republicans and Democrats to join forces.
So let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe.
Lawmakers say they need to come to an agreement by Friday morning to give the House and Senate enough time to pass it.
If the president stays out of it, we will get a deal, a good deal that that Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate can support.
We should get this done legislatively, and I'm looking forward to making that happen.
As the February 15th shutdown deadline looms, hundreds of military personnel are being moved from the Arizona border for a mission in Texas. This comes after a group of about 2,000 migrants arrived in northern Mexico.
If the evidence supports the notion for enhanced fencing moving forward, that you will find some bipartisan consensus in that regard.
Legal immigration, I think we all concede and agree with, makes our country stronger, but illegal immigration is illegal.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's clapping during President Trump's State of the Union raised some eyebrows. As Jeannie Mose reports, her applause seemed to be more of a jeer than a cheer.
She was the show behind the show, nodding no when the president declared the State of the Union is
strong.
Muttering commentary to herself, smiling at colleagues, urging new female members of Congress to rise, rolling her eyes.
Ridiculous partisan investigations.
But Nancy Pelosi became the queen of condescending applause after President Trump proposed rejecting the politics of revenge and embracing the common good. She clapped madly, their eyes met.
Pelosi was like, "You're never getting your wall."
Comedian Patton Oswalt congratulated Speaker Pelosi for inventing the "you clap."
Come on, y'all.
It launched 1 million GIFs. The internet was rocked with memes as Photoshoppers added things like golden handcuffs. The clapback reminded one guy of when I tell my wife I changed a diaper. And then there was the mystery. What was Nancy reading?
Not right.
Some called it rude and petty for Pelosi to bury her nose in papers. Was it the Mueller report or Trump's tax returns or a menu?
I kept expecting a waitress to come over with an order of buffalo wings.
Nah, she was just reading along with the president's speech. Of course, Nancy wasn't the only head-shaking eye roller in the House. Presidential hopeful Kamala Harris looked exasperated, as did Kirsten Gillibrand, who even used her eye roll as a fundraising appeal, then took it down after critics said it violated House rules. Speaker Pelosi's daughter, Christine, tweeted, "Oh yes, that clap took me back to the teen years. She knows, and she knows that you know. All we know is that all that clapping was the Speaker's seal of disapproval." Jeannie Mo, CNN, New York.
Provo, Utah has its first reality TV show. January 11th was the release of the first episode. Its third episode is coming out this Wednesday. Paige Johnson joins us now. Paige, what exactly is this show?
It's The Bachelor of Provo, and most of the stars are walking around our campus.
And here they are.
The Dating Game was arguably the first dating TV show. It first aired in 1965 and ran all the way through the 70s. In this show, a single woman would be given a choice of 3 bachelors, whom she could talk with but not see.
What is your favorite smell, morning, noon, or night?
My favorite smell is morning.
After asking them an array of questions, she would pick one to go on a date with. Next, ABC came out with The Bachelor in 2002 and has been running ever since. Here, they take a single bachelor and provide him with 20 or so girls, of whom he is expected to select a wife. During the span of the show, girls are eliminated until he narrows it down to 2. In 2019, Provo, Utah came out with its own Bachelor of Provo, and they are taking it pretty seriously.
Honestly, I don't know what I can tell you because I signed a contract.
There were 200 applicants, but they narrowed it down to 22. Unlike ABC's The Bachelor, the end goal of The Bachelor of Provo is simply for Colin Jost to find himself a girlfriend.
Girls are much more aggressive in the way that they're going about it, but if he wants to spend more time with me, then I'd rather it be like his decision who he wants to spend time with.
For the most part, the girls are friends, but there's always a fair share of drama.
I tried to steal him out for a kiss. It didn't go as planned. He wasn't comfortable with it. It was awkward.
Only 8 girls remain in the race for Colin's heart, or the race for fame.
Girls aren't even interested in Colin. They're just there for the show part of it and like the popularity. So
the YouTube show has almost 100,000 views on its first episode.
Girls are there for me, or which ones are there just to be like famous on like a YouTube show?
Week 2 is almost at 50,000 views, and with week 3 coming up, it seems that number will only increase.
The Bachelor of Provo has its own Instagram and YouTube account if you're wanting to keep up with Provo's love series.
Thanks, Paige.
An unusual heavy amount of snow in Seattle area has people getting in some playtime. Officers were spotted doing a little street sledding with kids in Bethel, but that's nothing compared to what went down in Duval. Duval police posted a video of officers responding to suspicious characters in a park. What followed was a full-on epic snowball fight with groups of local kids. Great time to see people having a fun time out in the snow. As we can see here, Utah will have some great cold coming in and some low temperatures. However, the snow is making its way out of Utah. Looking at the highs of the day, we'll see that Vernal will have 23 up in Logan, 29 in Salt Lake, 27 in Provo, 42 down St. George. So most of Utah are below freezing. The low of the day, we'll see that up in Logan, they'll get -1 degrees. Vernal will have 2, 3 in Price, 17 in Salt Lake, 11 in Provo, and 23 down in St. George. For the southern 5-day forecast, we'll see that St. George will have some sun coming in. However, the temperature will be around the 50s and go down to the 40s in the next week. Going into the northern part of Utah, we'll see that we will have some sunshine coming in, some clouds coming up tomorrow. However, Saturday, we'll see some snow showers coming in, so be careful out there on the road. However, the snow will melt, and we'll get some sunshine and some clouds coming in. So we'll have some warmer weather come in. However, Saturday will be a great time to have fun out in the snow and maybe go and ski, snowboard, or out sledding with cops.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This week in Deer Valley, they're having the World Ski Championships, so that's perfect for everything going on up there.
Yeah, as long as I'm not doing the action and I can just sit back and watch, have a hot cocoa, I'm good. I'll do that.
Bundle up warmly if you're going outside.
Thanks so much, Carmen. Coming up, yesterday marked the beginning of the national signing period for college football. Who the Cougars signed and what to expect going forward when we come back. Also, the Jazz got back to their winning ways with a blowout of the Suns last night. But could it have been somebody's last game in a Jazz uniform? We'll talk about it in just a minute.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it. Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy.
BYU's football team made it official with 4 more recruits yesterday during the beginning of the national signing period.
We're always going to target certain guys that fit this program and fit the demands that we have here on the football field and in academics.
The Cougars signed athletes Luke Andrada and Javelle Brown, as well as defensive end Cade Albright and defensive back Dimitri Gallo. These 4 recruits joined the 14 players the Cougars signed during the early period last month, to put the total at 18 players signed. The Cougars will be able to continue to sign additional players until the April 1st final signing date. The number 7 ranked BYU men's volleyball team began conference play with a loss at number 5 Pepperdine last night. The Waves swept the Cougars in 3 sets, 25-17, 25-19, and 25-18, as the Cougars started each set off slow and weren't ever able to recover. The loss put BYU only 1 game above 500 with a 4-3 record. The Cougars will stay in California to take on number 4 ranked UCLA on Saturday evening. BYU's women's and men's basketball teams are back in action today against West Coast Conference opponents. The men's team will travel to Portland to take on the Pilots tonight at 9 p.m. The Pilots are 7-17 on the season and still haven't won a West Coast Conference game, sitting at 0-9 on the season. As for the women's side, the Cougars are looking to rebound from back-to-back losses on the road last week with a home game against St. Mary's. BYU will look to beat St. Mary's for the 2nd time this season after winning in Moraga last month. The Cougars and the Gales tipped just over an hour ago, and the Cougars are currently leading in the second half. The Jazz got back to their winning ways with a 116-88 blowout of the Suns last night.
Joe back inside to Gobert, flies it over the top. How about the blender for Utah? Donovan, corner 3.
Leading by only 8 going into the final period, the Jazz torched the Suns in the fourth, winning the quarters 37-17. The Jazz beat the Suns with a balanced effort, including 7 players scoring in double digits. Donovan Mitchell led the Jazz with 21 points, while Joe Ingles recorded a double-double with 15 points and a career-high 11 assists. Rudy Gobert added 16 points and 12 rebounds in the win. With a 31-24 record, the Jazz sit in 7th in the Western Conference standings. Utah's next game will be against San Antonio on Saturday. Despite trade rumors involving the Jazz, it's looking like Utah won't be making any moves prior to that matchup against the Spurs. Utah was in serious talks with the Memphis Grizzlies about a deal that would send point guard Mike Conley to the Jazz for Ricky Rubio and Derek Favors. But word came out yesterday that Conley didn't want to play in Utah. After that news, rumors surfaced about a potential 3-team trade involving Memphis and Toronto that would send Raptors guard Kyle Lowry to Utah, but no trade was made. There is still time for a trade, however, as the trade deadline is today at 1 p.m. Mountain Time.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be earthquake next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So,
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
A stranded sea otter pup has been reunited with its mother in California, and the heartwarming moment was caught on video. Otter pups can get separated from their moms when the area has storms or high tides, or when people get too close on kayaks or on the beach. Young pups like this one need mothers to survive. The team with the Marine Mammal Center got a call about the stranded otter who was only a couple days old and searched for about an hour to reunite the mom and pup. How sweet
Adorable.
is that? That's really
I
cute.
love these reunited videos.
Really
well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us today for Newsline.
For more on our information and stories or to show them with your friends, check out our website at theuniverse.byu.edu/